Hello children. Today I'll start my session with a man called Thomas Edison. Do you know why he known for? Yes, you are right. In 1817 he had invented a practical long-lasting electric bulb. What makes the bulb to work? You might aware of the fact that the bulb in our home works on electricity. So not only bulb, there are many appliances like televisions, air conditioners, water heaters, fan, even in torch. And even I am making the video by using of electricity. So without electricity, this video will not be possible. Can you imagine a world without electricity? A discovery of electricity has helped to start a new revolution of the history of humankind. Now, let us keep this aside the rhetoric talks. Now, let us try to understand the real thing. What is electricity? Well, there are two types of electricity, a static electricity and a dynamic electricity. So now we will only talk about a dynamic electricity. So what is a dynamic electricity? The name itself suggesting the meaning of dynamic is will be a moving. So dynamic electricity will be a moving electricity. More precisely, moving of electric charges is called as a dynamic electricity. Just like the dynamic electricity is just like moving of electric charges. The concept of electric charges are very important in learning physics, but it is huge in nature. But I will try to figure it out in 2 to 3 terms. I will try to define what they are. In nature, there are two charges, positive and negative. The positive charge denoted by the sign plus and negative charge denoted by sign negative. You can go through this. There are two types of charges in the nature. Number one, positive. So positive charge represented by sign plus and negative charge represented by the sign minus. So for a moment, think of a magnet. So if you observe a magnet, you will identify two different poles, north and south pole. As you know, like poles, like north and north, south and south repel each other. And unlike poles, north and south attract each other. Similarly, positive or like poles or like charges, when it comes to the electric charge, like charges, plus and plus, minus and minus repel each other. And unlike charges, just like positive and minus, like plus and minus will repel each other. I'm concluding, like poles, plus plus minus minus repel each other, and minus plus and plus minus, the unlike poles, they will attract each other. So now when you say it's charged, or who will carry these charges, this is a very important topic. So now where actually you will find the charges. So now who are the charge carriers? Well, where it is charged, or who are the carriers of these charges like positive and negative. The charges are carried by a tiny particles with incredibly less mass, are called as subatomic particles, where you will find these particles inside an atom. Positive charge carried by the tiny particle called proton, and negative charge carried by the tiny particle called electron. So you can find these protons and electrons inside an atom. So you can go through that atom structure, Bohr's atomic model. So you will find what protons and neutrons and even what electrons then. So you can find billions and trillions of electrons and protons all around the world, and also you can find everywhere, wherever you can find. You just find a thing, you can use the any object. So it has what trillions and billions of protons and electrons. As I mentioned earlier, that every object in the universe having billions and trillions of protons and electrons, and some object will help that what movable what particle called electron, some objects will never allow that electron to move. So in this sense, if you take some metals, if you take metals, the electrons inside the metals can move randomly inside the what place variable where they will get it. But in case of non-metals, these kind of what electrons will feel some kind of fixing arrangement. So they cannot move freely inside a non-metal. Now let's come to the main idea of Edison. So as I mentioned in the beginning of video, this bulb works on electricity. Now the charged electrons are moving in one direction to glow this bulb or illuminate this bulb. So there are many questions will comes to our mind. What makes that what electron to move in one direction? And two, what actually why these electrons has to move inside some different metals? So these questions will be answered in the further classes.